guys. Um, God's favor and blessings to you all, first of all. Number two, I'm here to talk about finding your first job as an LPN. So, my first job as an LPN was in a nursing home, of course. And I worked for a very large not-for-profit organization that owns several nursing homes in the city, New York City. It was a very well-run nursing home. They were extremely organized. It was a 500-bed facility. It was just, they had a contract with the union, one of the largest unions in the city, if not the largest union in the city, 1199. Of course, unions aren't perfect, but you know what? In contrast to my second job that was not contracted with the union, I prefer the union. Even with the dues and the fees, I prefer the union still. So anyway, when I got an interview with this job, my first job, I had to go back to take the competency test. The competency test was basically about things that they expect you to do when they hire you. So it was patient safety, it was medication administration, it was delegation, it was documentation. I was not able to use a calculator. So you have to know dosage calculation, you have to know conversion factors, all of that. So anyway, yeah, I passed the competency test, and then after the competency test, I had to go upstairs and interview with the DON. So then I get hired and I started my orientation. My orientation was 4 weeks long. The first week I was in the classroom. We learned about the policy and procedures for the facility. Then we learned about basic stuff, documentation again, the 6 rights, patient safety again, all of that basic fundamental stuff like nursing 101. And then you have to sign all of these packets, like staff education packets, and they put it in a file, I guess, for when the state comes. So they also had a lawyer come in and talk to us about documentation, which was really, really cool, really informative information that I carry with me till this day. And that was, let me see, December 2008. That was almost 3 years ago. That was 2.5 years ago. So, what was I saying? Okay, so the next 3 weeks after that, I was on the floor with the preceptor, and I had my notepad and my pen. Let's take notes here. No, my preceptor was like, put that away. You need to just listen and pay attention. So I was scared, but she was really cool. She was nice. Okay, so I did the whole orientation thing. It was cool, The orientation is the most important part, I think, when you're looking for a new job, because really the orientation can just set the tone for your entire experience there. If you have a good orientation and you leave orientation feeling confident, like you know what you're doing, you're going to be a good nurse. I mean, well, if you have the capacity to be a good nurse. No, really, if you feel confident, you feel good, you're probably going to do well. So the other thing that I think is most important is the number of residents or patients that you have to take care of. Ask them, okay, if you're in a nursing home, okay, so let's say you work on a long-term unit. Usually a long-term unit has between 30 and 40 beds. That's average. I think you should have at least 3 CNAs, but people call out and stuff like that. So ask them, what is your nurse to patient ratio? If it's more than 40, if it's more than 35, I would be nervous. Okay, if your average nurse to patient ratio is more than 35 on the long-term floor, I would be nervous. That's a lot, because if it's 35, it's probably more like 40. Ask them how many beds are on the floor. If it's 40, then expect your census to be 40 most of the time. Ask them how many CNAs are required to work on the floor at all times. Don't ask them what is your CNA to resident ratio. Ask them how many CNAs are required to work on the floor all the time. That means how many CNAs are you definitely going to have on the floor no matter what. Okay. That's very important, because if you're short-staffed, your life is going to be heck. It's going to be really bad. I mean, it's going to be bad. You're going to have a really difficult time. Number 3, ask them if they have a unit clerk. If you're working in a floor that holds 40 beds, okay, you're going to need a unit clerk. That's a whole lot of charts, a whole lot of documentation, a whole lot of everything. You're going to need a unit clerk to keep you organized. That just shows you how organized the facility is. If, they're able to keep staff, all of that stuff is really important. Ask them about their protocols. If whoever's interviewing you, hopefully it's another nurse, like your supervisor or your DON or whatever. Ask them about the nursing protocols. If they can state the protocols clearly and they go with whatever you learned in nursing school, like your fundamentals or whatever, like a cold blue, ask them, how would a cold blue situation, what is your protocol for an emergency situation? Okay, it should be everyone responds, doing CPR. You should have a first responder and a second responder, to call 911 and to get the patient out. If she can't, or whatever their protocol is, it's a little bit different for everybody, but it should make sense and it should make you feel comfortable. If her protocol is like wishy-washy, or she says something like, oh, well, if there's an emergency, of course you're going to respond. Well, duh, miss. What about everybody else? Are you going to have to face a protocol emergency situation by yourself? You know what I mean? Guys, you would be surprised. Okay, this is not a no-brainer to most facilities. My second job, we didn't even have an overhead system, okay? When there was an emergency on my floor at my second job, you know what folks was doing? You know what I had to do several times? Run down the hallway yelling, screaming for somebody to run over to the next floor and get a nurse to come over and help me, which is a hotmess.com. Horrible. So, yes, this crap is very important, okay? You know what? Ask them if they have an overhead system. That's even better. You do not want to be running up and down the hallways yelling for help. Trust me. I know, right? So, anyway, that's my, those are my basic tips for looking for a new job. Try not to settle. I know times are hard, but your first few weeks of orientation are really, really, really important. Really important. So try to make sure you get into a facility that really caters to new graduate nurses. Okay, peace and blessings. That's it. Bye.